So he's down, he's sleeping, isn't he? Sleeping with one eye open it is. So hello. Today I'd like to take a look at this, which is a Beetle. Well, it's the Volkswagen Beetle. 1200 I think it is, this one. They did a 1303S as well. Beautiful cars, made in Wolfsburg in Germany. So yeah, they did a 1200, 1300, like I just said. My mum had one. She had the 1303, which was a pretty decent car in actual fact, although not that stable, as I'll lead you to that conclusion later. But yeah, my mum's one was in a colour called Cliff Green. So it was really, shout out to Sharon there. No, I'm joking. It was called Cliff Green, and it was a lovely car, very bright. In fact, she used to get waved at. The people that owned Volkswagen Beetles, when they went past each other, they used to wave at each other for some reason. I don't know what was going on. It was all good fun though. But rear engine car actually, and most amusing, my dad once tried to change the sump plug on his car, and he got really stressed out, and he came in all fretted, all sort of hot under the collar, and said to my mum, "I can't find the darn thing anywhere." And then he realised that the engine was actually at the back and not the front. True story. But they were lovely cars, really hot inside in the winter time because they had these vents under the back seats that would blow out really belting hot air, you know, from the engine, obviously because it was a rear engine car. So that was pretty much your dashboard. Very basic, but just enough, you know, like a Jeep, sort of just enough essential parts, whatever the myth is that they are. They're not that, are they? It showed you the gears and what have you. Another true story was that my mum used to go to the hairdressers and leave me in the car because I couldn't stand the smell in there. It was horrible. All these old biddies under hair dryers, you know. And I just thought I was sort of dry retching, you know. So she used to leave me in the car. And one day I had the grand plan idea of releasing the handbrake because it was on a slope. You know, this car was parked on a hill, and it went sort of slowly down towards the next car and just leant up against it. And I thought, oh God! And my puny arms weren't strong enough to put the handbrake back on, so all was revealed. Obviously, when my mum got back, she was quite angry. But never mind. That's the way it worked. That's the way the cookie crumbled in those days. So my uncle ended up inheriting the car. He was a wonderful Lancastrian fellow. He'd served in World War II in the Royal Artillery in the 4th West Lancs, and he'd been a prisoner of war. He was quite a character in actual fact, and he was delighted when he sort of got rid of his old Ford Anglia, and my mum at the concurrent time was trying to sell her Beetle to trade it in to buy a Volkswagen Polo. These are the radios, by the way, the originals. I think my mum had that one for some reason. I don't know why I remember that, but I do. The Hanover. Yeah, it was the Hanover. They're all in German names, obviously. Wolfsburg, Emden, Hanover, and Ingolstadt. Is that one in Austria? Actually, it might be, but who knows? Certainly not me, anyway. But yeah, so my uncle bought the car because my mum was only going to get trade-in value for it. So he stepped in and said, "Look, if you're going to get trade, I'll pay the trade, and you give it to me." And so that's exactly what happened. And he had it for years. He loved it, and well, eventually, my uncle had a penchant for going to the pub, if you know what I mean by that. It was a sort of very countrified place where he lived, in Farnham, Farnham Royal. He lived in Farnham Common, sorry, near Slough. And anyway, one horrible day, he hit a patch of ice and rolled it over. Literally rolled the darn thing over. And in his typical Lancastrian humour, he said, "Have you ever heard of a Beetle that never rolled onto its back?" And that was the boom moment for that. And unfortunately for him, though, the car was a write-off. So it was very sad. After that, he had a series of old rubbish, like an Austin Allegro, and then he had a Vauxhall Nova or something like that. He never liked either of them. And I did feel very sorry for him because he did love this car. He did love it very much. And it was almost sort of kept in the family, as it were. Anyway, there you go. I won't drag this one on too long today because I've been dragging them on, haven't I? But there's the lady of the friendly face of the Volkswagen chickadee. Hello, I said, would you fancy a glass of old grape juice? Mm. I don't mind, no, I tell you. Lovely. So there it is, that's the manual. With all the sort of do-it-yourself tips and tricks in there. Yeah, lovely old chrome covers for the wheels, I remember. Jimmy, she's sort of whining. Jimmy's wailing and whining. It's a whining and a wailing, isn't it, Jimbers? There you go, adjustment of headlamps and things like that. Anyway, so I hope you found this of some interest. And thanks ever so much for watching. I really appreciate everybody watching these videos. They must be like watching a kettle boil. I can't imagine how boring it must be. I enjoy them anyway. I just like the sound of my own voice, you see. It's great. If you enjoy the sound of your own voice, you're on to a winner. I'm joking. Anyway, cheers. Thanks ever so much. All the very best wishes.